YouTube, what's going on today, man? Listen.
Well, we won't know yet. But the pistons move.
Last night, we installed the cam, we got the motor cleaned up, and then I actually had an issue with the timing chain dampener because we switched to an LS2 style timing chain and an LS2 style timing gear. So we had to modify the current dampener. I bought one from TrickFlow. It's like basically looks like this. I'll show you. So it basically looks like this here. This is the dampener instead of that big, like long style one. This one should be much better off. Now, I only have this just kind of sitting in here. We had to punch out the current bushings that were in this dampener and then install the new ones. So this is just kind of hand tied on here. I just wanted to make sure, like, this is how things are going to go. Here's our little, right here, little mark. But, yeah, now we're ready to move on. The goal for today is to get the piston rings filed and to the appropriate size. We're moving on along with this. The short block is coming along, and right now I'm just going to make sure that the piston rings are to size. I have this one here. It is like a little mechanical piston ring filer. It should do the job. It's gonna take forever no matter what we do, but it has a little hand piece here. Make sure this is nice and tight before I use it. That is what we're going to use to file the piston rings. I have a gap that I'm going to set it to boost, like I said. Let me go ahead and tighten this guy. So for right now, I'm going to flip the motor around. Let me take this chain off. This isn't staying on here right this second. Yeah, we'll take the chain off of it for right now. This is kind of hand tight. This will keep the cam in for now. Alright, boys and girls. I have everything basically laid out. Here are my pistons. I numbered, see this? I numbered each one how it's going to appear in the motor in my box. I really do like to stay organized. Plus, like, you know, the intake and exhaust valve reliefs, they're directional. That's not the only thing that's directional. So the rods actually are directional as well. They have a chamfer on them. I don't know if you can see this, but yeah, right there, see? There's a little chamfer. That is directional and actually goes against the, like the bob weight side. So like they'll go like this. The chamfer side will go against like the bob weight side. So you'll have two different directions based on which piston it is. So to keep organized, I have them laid out, piston 1, 3, 5, and 7, because those ones will most likely face one direction on the crank, and then the other side will face the other direction. So, you know, one will face this way, and then one will face the other direction, based on where they are on the crank. Alright, I have a tip, okay? I was having issues getting the original rod bolts off because I don't have a vise here. We don't have any of that type of stuff. So this is kind of like my quick little fix for getting the rod bolts off because it's not attached to anything. So like you were gonna hold it by your hand and try to do it. That's what I tried to do originally. Didn't work. So here's how I do it. All right. I have this bar with like a really thick rag. You can use a plastic or or like a rubber mallet end. That'd probably work a little better. This is a giant padding here. And then this is attached here, and then I just have this attached to the rod bolt here, and a big old pipe. Put this here, like this. Take this. See if I can't do this one-handed. We're just using my knee and yeah, I need both hands. All right. Anyways, you get the idea. You basically do that, and it should be able to come right off. I already did one side, so I gotta do 7 more. Once I have all 7 of them done and orientated in the box, then just like I said I was gonna do the rings. Summit actually gives you like these bags: top groove, second groove, third groove, which is pretty cool. This is the one with the oil scraper in it. I actually put it back in the bag. So once I have all these broken and orientated to where they need to have them, we will probably break into the piston rings. That was the whole purpose of today, to get them filed and get them ready to put into our big bad iron block LS1. We got all of the rods ready to go. All of the rods are disconnected and they are ready to be assembled, basically. So this is the meat and potatoes of the build. We are actually going to move on to filing the rings, and I have a handy dandy cheat sheet, something that came with it. These are the Summit Pro LS pistons, and they're recommending for forced induction up to 15 pounds. You take the bore times 0.006, and that will give us our measurements. And then the second ring is going to be the bore times 0.0065. We are going to multiply our bore. Let me see here. Multiply. 3, here, can we do it? Let's do this. 3.898 times forced induction 0.06. So 0.023. My machine shop, and he had recommended doing a 0.025 on the top. So 0.023, 0.025, very close. The second ring, we want a little bit looser than the top ring. So we're going to do a 0.030 on the second ring. Let's get the rings put into the block and see where we are initially off the first run. So we want to put this in here. I'm just going to be ever so careful to squeeze this. Push her in there without scratching it. Oh, I got shit in my hands. Alright, so there's that first one. Let's make sure that this thing is even. All the way around. Let's see what gap we have. We are not close. 15 fits pretty good. We have to make it bigger, of course. We knew that was going to happen. Little bright. Next day. Action. Right? So, I gapped all of the rings. It was a pain. All I had was this little manual thing. I actually took the handle off and attached a screw and used the gun to like give it more speed because it was just time consuming. So now all of the piston rings are gapped and I'm ready to actually assemble the piston to the rod. And the rods are actually, here, I'll grab one. The rods are actually directional. These Summit Pro LS rods are actually directional. They have a chamfer on one side. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. It has a chamfer on one side, and that side actually goes toward the bob weight. I think I talked about it earlier. So I just have to make sure that the direction is right. I have a cool little setup here to don't look at my beers. If the motor is messed up, it's because I had one too many beers. Not because I didn't know what I was doing or anything like that, but I kind of have it set up so 1 piston, 3 piston, 5 piston, 7 piston, 8, 6, 4 and 2. This is the way that the motor actually is. If you look at the motor here, so like this is 1, 3, 5, and 7. This is also 1, 3, 5, and 7. It keeps everything very organized. Being organized is helpful. So the crank, this is also directional. So this is the front of the crank. This will go onto the front of the motor here. when we talk about directional. So each one of these little chamfers will have to go towards the bob weight side. So like this is one, piston 1, and it will go here on this left side. And then this is piston number 2, and it is directional as well. So there's that chamfer, and then we'll go like this. So we have these little wrist pins here. These little wrist pins. I'm going to put the one side in all the way, and then I'm going to put the wrist pin with the rod, and then the other pin. It's pretty much self-explanatory. One wrist pin going in. It should just stop there. We should be able to take the second wrist pin. Lock her in. Can you see me? I got my first one done. Make sure that I'm going to put it back into this hole here. Look at this. First piston assembled. Now I'm going to do that 7 more times. And then when I come back, I should be able to put it all together. Some days later, we finally finished putting the rings. All the rings are on. The pistons and the rods are on. We are ready to actually install the crank into the motor. I'm doing one last bit of cleaning to the surfaces. I have the main bearings. We are using, what are they? They are the Molly Performance main bearings. They should go in there pretty okay. They got this from my engine builder. These are high performance main bearing set. I think they're just standards. They should just be a standard. They did the mains, so I'm going to turn this bad boy over. I'm going to give it one good cleaning. I like to clean these. I don't think they're all, like, as you can see they're pretty nasty on the other side of this. So I'll clean the back side of each one of these bearings. And then I'll lube. I like to lube the back side of them. Alright, so let me get this thing turned over and we'll start cleaning it. I've already gone ahead and cleaned and prepped the block to accept the main bearings, and obviously I'll put the thrust here. So I'm going to put you on the stand and we'll just go ahead and start assembling this motor. Basically it's fairly simple. Put the bearings in, put the crank in, put the other bearings into the top halves of the main caps. We're going to do one pass, and then we're going to do a second pass, and then, or actually the first pass, and then we're going to set the thrust, and then we're going to do a second pass. It should be a-okay, and then we will be right back. I'm probably going to try to put you on some sort of time lapse. Say hello. So, like I was saying, I'm going to put the main bearings into the caps, and then we're going to get the caps all onto here, and then we're going to start our torquing sequence. As you can see, this free flowing all the way around. That's good news. We did something right. maybe not. Alright, let me get these main caps on. I'll get you back on the stand. question I have to ask myself is, am I ready to put the rods and pistons in? Yes, I am. But I'm going to do it tomorrow. Now we have completely assembled the crank and the mains, and it is buttery smooth. Like one finger smooth. I'm excited, guys. The mains are on. They're all tightened up. I actually had a couple of the side bolts strip on me, which makes me kind of worried. It was this one, the main, so I had to replace it. And then this one. So hopefully, moving forward, it's not going to be an issue. But overall, I'm happy. Tomorrow I put in the pistons and rods, and then we can get the short block basically checked off on the list. I have to keep reminding myself that this is a project, and then it's going to take time. I just want to finish it. We're going to finish this motor today. We're going to put the rods, the pistons in the short block, and it's going to be finished. Let me show you what we're working. I have every rod and piston together and lined. We have to put the rod bearings in, and then from the rod bearings we can use our piston ring compressor, compress these, put them in the block, torque them down, and then the short block is going to be complete. First things first, let's get these. Let's get these out on some paper, cleaned up, and ready for insertion into the rods. Put the bearings in the rods, and now we're ready to freaking put it in the motor. Dude, one step at a time, this thing's gonna be done before we even know it. Then comes the hard part, making sure it doesn't blow up. So now we have a completed short block for the BMW E46 drift build. It's the pistons, rods, cranks, everything is done on the bottom side. So we're going to work on the top end in the next couple of weeks. I got to do the heads. I got to figure out what I'm going to do as far as a fuel system and then the intake manifold. I have some heads that I'm going to use, probably the 706 heads, but I have all brand new valve train for it. I have a double spring kit. I have, trunnion upgrades, as we talked about before, hardened push rods, all that good stuff. So right now we have a completed motor. Take a look. Well, we have a completed short block. Looks pretty good in there. Don't leave the ground. It's dirty. Ooh wee. Like I said, that's it for this week. We have a completed short block. If you enjoyed the video, like the video, comment, subscribe, tell your buddies, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.